Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of ChluyTalk Podcast. I'm your host, Chluy. Today's guest is a business owner based out of Seattle, Washington. He actually owns a cocktail bar located in the Phanit Ridge, North Seattle area called Oliver's Twist. Recently, when I visited in April, I had a chance to stop by finally and go show support. And he blessed me with a Khmer lunch. You know, that's the cool thing about Oliver's Twist. It's a cocktail bar, a little hip neighborhood, and what makes them special is they serve like authentic like Khmer food, like the stuff that I love growing up, like taco and like stuffed chicken wings, and it has a full menu. But without further ado, here is Karuna Long. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Welcome, brother.
How are you, man? Glad to finally have a face to face with you. You know, when I met you, it was, we had masks on, so I didn't get to see your face, but I just want to say thank you for taking care of me and my friends, and I just wanted to learn more about you because I'm originally from Seattle. My whole family's over there, and I'm just kind of surprised. Like none of my friends told me about Oliver's Twist. I'm like, yo, how come nobody told me about this place? So I feel like, I want to use my platform, and maybe I'm not the only one that don't know. Maybe some more Khmer people need to go support too. I mean, most of my friends in the South End, but Seattle just spread out. I think it's nothing to just hop in a car, take a 20-minute drive to North Seattle. It's like, you get anywhere in any part of Seattle, but within 20 minutes, I'm like, go support, Karuna and the family business, I think it's important that we show up for you guys too,
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So tell me about yourself, like a little bit of background info, where you're from and stuff,
Okay. Yeah. So I was born in Seattle, actually, in 82. My parents are both from Duong. My parents, when they came to the States, they settled up in Seattle with my mom's side of the family down in the Mount Baker neighborhood. So I was born in Seattle. And then after a couple of years, my parents moved to Georgia because my dad couldn't handle how cold it was up here. So they moved out down to Atlanta to be with my dad's side of the family. And just kind of growing up, our dad was he was a Khmer musician, trying to do his thing, coming back from the old country. So he's trying to live out his Khmer rock dreams, and so he's playing music in Atlanta. We spent some time in Danbury, Connecticut, in Lowell, Massachusetts, and in Chicago. When I was probably in first or second grade, we moved out to Long Beach, where predominantly larger Khmer community. And at the time, it was continuing to grow, so that was kind of a area that we settled for the longest. Junior high school, post high school was all in Long Beach for the most part, ins and outs of that, get into all the trouble in the 90s back then. And then moved back up here in 2010 after my parents and my brothers moved up here in 2007. So it's been nice coming back up home. This is the best homecoming I've had. I don't miss California. I miss the beaches. I miss the larger Khmer community, but the Khmer community up here is continuing to show up, and they're continuing to, our generation, we're starting to kind of build our own community in a sense, recultivate what the elders used to do for a white center and even beyond. I feel like there's more cognizance and appreciation for our culture with our generation and the younger generation.
Love to see it. And how many siblings do you have?
I have. I always say I have two younger brothers, but I actually have three younger brothers. We have a half brother that just moved to the States 2 years ago. His name is Ratanat. So I got Ratanat is my next oldest brother, and then Richie is third oldest, and then Ratanat is our half brother that just moved to the States. Yeah, you hear the name Richie, you don't think Khmer, but when I was in junior high, I was when I was in elementary school, I was fascinated by that movie, La Bamba. With Richie Valens.
That's a classic. Yeah. I love that movie, man. La Bamba.
And so,
sad.
Yeah, in Long Beach, our mom called us and she's like, "What do you want to name your brother?" And I watched that movie almost every single day, and we named him Richie, and he hates me for that.
Oh, really?
He's like, "Why can't I have a Khmer name, man?"
Oh, you wanted a Khmer name? Wow.
Yeah.
Usually the opposite. Because my name is Phanit. My teacher used to butcher my name. It'll be Phanit when they take attendance. I'm like, damn it, it's Phanit. The H is silent, but yeah. Sometimes I wish I was a Michael or something, when I was a kid, because I grew up Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson. So man, Phanit. That's just my name. But also that you mentioned your dad was in the music and stuff like that. I see that, I saw your Instagram. You make music too? Like, I see you singing, so that runs in the family.
Yeah, I used to do it a lot more when I was younger. When I was in college, I was trying to study. I was studying trumpet and piano. I was trying to be like the first Khmer jazz musician. You know what I mean? But didn't really do much because when you come from our background, it's like we don't have the luxuries that the general like kids that are like a gangsta, like they have. They got the luxury of, if they fail, they fall back on their family, lifting them back up. For us, it's like, man, we fail, our family's gonna struggle also. Yeah. So it's like I saw the struggles that my dad had with our dad had with music and how to like make a stable income. And it was just kind of something that put me through working odd jobs. Like in my early 20s, I'd work whatever job I could get just so I could support my free time to do music and all that. And now with the bar and all that, I miss that aspect of my life, but I slowly find ways to like be creative again and try to make music, play the piano, play the guitar.
That's dope. So were you like self-taught with like the piano and guitar?
Yeah, for the most part. Like it's weird being that our mom, she used to dance rabam and like and all that as well too, and she was a singer. Our parents didn't really want us to go down that path of like music and creativity because they saw how hard the struggle was when it comes to making a stable living. So whenever I wanted to learn how to play instruments, our dad's like, I'm not going to teach you because if I teach you and you go down that path, I'm going to feel bad. So like I just started teaching myself. I started picking up the guitar when he wasn't looking and playing it, and then started jumping on the keyboard and just learning it. And then it got to a point where when I was in high school, one of the band directors, he also taught instruments classes. He caught wind of me playing the piano by ear one time during like a lunch break when I used to sing in choir. And so he heard me and he's like, hey, how about you come after school and I'll give you private lessons for free. Like, he's like, you sound like you have a lot of potential. And just that led to me playing the piano more rigorously and learning theory and all that. And then just becoming appreciative of that side. And then when our dad started seeing my progression, he's like, oh, okay, you really are my kid. But he's like, still doesn't want me to learn instruments. Wow.
That's cool. Cause, I was in choir too, and my parents actually made me quit choir. They said it was Banka, so I was kind of like, damn, my dreams were crushed.
No, man, I had to. It was almost like an ultimatum. Like, we tried to play. We played sports, and then when they were like, choose one or the other, I'm like, all right, I'm going to choose singing because singing was just like an expression.
So when did you open Oliver's Twist?
So Oliver's Twist has actually been around since 2007. When I moved back up in 2010, they'd already established themselves as one of the premier classic and craft cocktail bars. They're kind of one of the older originators of that up in Seattle, along with some other staples. And I bounced around in the industry up here when I moved back up. As playing music again, and I was kind of networking in the creative circles. So then I got myself back into the bar scene and started making cocktails, getting myself back into the craft cocktail scene. And that bar had always been one of my favorites. And somehow, just by happenstance, I was working at this other bar, and Oliver's Twist's then bar manager, Robert, he was patronizing the spot I was working at, and he's like, I could use someone like you at the bar. He's like, would you be down to work with me part-time? I'm like, I don't want to work nights. I'm like, nights are when I get to go play music. Nights are when I get time off to go spend with the family and all that. But it had always been one of my favorite bars. So I went to go check it out again, revisit it. And I ended up picking up a couple shifts there, and a couple shifts part-time, and ended up being just like I started being immersed in the community up there as well. And I just fell in love with the bar all over again. And when the owners were ready to retire and get out of the industry, they gave the employees an opportunity to buy. And the original bar manager was going to take over, but a bunch of things fell through for him financially. And I was like, my plan was always to open up my own place. This is kind of a no-brainer. I know the community. I know this bar. I know the lay of the land. And I've already built a foundation of my own following. So why not take over something that's already that's been a staple in this community? So then I took over in 2016, 2017. And since then it's been, it's been amazing. I've learned a great deal. There have been more times that I've kicked my ass than the W's, but you take that in stride, especially as Khmer people, man. We always get knocked down, but I feel like we're one of the more resilient cultures that continues to strive for better. Yeah. So I took over in 2017, and shortly after that, in April, my mom and my brothers and I, we started doing this once a year Khmer pop up. Doing like plia satko, stuffed wings, tuaco, sachakat,
good stuff.
Boklahong, and mom even brought like the roasted silkworms to get the neighborhood to try too. So it was so well received that fast forward, and like now we're here, and people have been asking when we're going to do more pop-ups, and then the pandemic kind of forced our hand, and we're like, all right, let's do this. So
thank you for sharing that story. So what made you like incorporate Khmer food onto your menu?
So it's almost parallel to just the Khmer storyline and survival. I mean, the pandemic, when it started, most bars and restaurants, food operations, we were screwed. I mean, we were trying to figure out how we're going to make this work, and then more importantly, if you were a place that was like us, primarily a cocktail bar, trying to figure out a way to navigate and pivot. It was so tough. And at that time, me, along with a couple other bar owners and restaurant owners, we started writing to the state legislators, trying to get them to legalize to-go cocktails. But during that waiting period, there was just like all this time, we're just like, okay, we got to figure out a way to generate revenue to keep this place afloat. And the community rallied. We started a GoFundMe with like tiered prizes to incentivize people to donate instead of just asking for a handout. We figure out ways to like ask for donations in exchange for like, future events, this and that, a private dinner with me and my family, et cetera, when the pandemic's over. And the community really rallied. We rallied enough funding to keep us going through the first 3 months of the pandemic. And then we're just like, I sat down with my brothers and my mom. We're like, the pop-ups have been successful. We've had lines up and around the block every time we've done it. We're like, let's give it a go. Worst case scenario is it doesn't work and we're back to this situation. But man, it's the sole reason why we're still here today is because of the Khmer food and the way the community's embraced it.
Wow. So, that's good that the community like go hard for you guys, and Oliver's Twisted. I love that. I love that you guys are like a staple of that neighborhood, and and then adding Khmer food and like the people's response to the Khmer food is pretty good. Like what's the crowd favorite that people like to order?
In the beginning, we started off safe doing like the vermicelli, the cold vermicelli noodles and all that. Because, it's like Khmer katyuan and stuff. But it's like we tried to figure out a way to make it more easy to introduce. Because, we're in a predominantly Gangsa neighborhood. It's like most of them don't even know what Khmer food is or how it's represented. So to my brothers and my mom and I was like, let's choose some of the things that are a little easier to segue. And then slowly bring other items that we traditionally care about. And so, like the salah curry, anything with, krung, like we want to do sachakat, but we don't have an open flame. So we did short ribs because it's easier to reverse sear and torch it. And then the stuffed wings, I mean, those were some of the staples that killed it from the beginning. When we were able to put tuaco on, everyone's like, man, this is better than longanisa. Like even one of the homies, he that helps out, he's Filipino and he kept raving about that and taking it back home to his mom down in Kent. And his mom's like, we can make this. And he's like, no, like this is better. It's not sweet like longanisa. And that was like a death sentence for him. Like he really wanted to get killed by his mom.
Wow.
Yeah. But, everything's been well received. I mean, for the most part, we can't complain. And then the second we put Salam with you Krung on, folks loved it. And then when we put the Nopachok on for New Year's, everyone man, just seeing that reception. And next, I want to put some more classics like Tukpahok and Setko, Prahok Pi and all that.
Ooh.
I mean, and maybe do Pong Teo Kon at some point.
Oh yeah,
I don't really get down with Pong Teo Kon. My brothers do, but
wow. So are you glad you guys took that risk and just went against the grain and in like a hipster neighborhood and just believing in your gut instinct? Because I think that sometimes you have to take that risk because I feel like Khmer food should be. I hope one day it'll be just as popular as like Thai or Vietnamese food. I think we have really good food, different flavor, similar to Vietnam and Laos and stuff. But I always feel like we're the underdogs. Like Khmer food need to be out there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's one of the things why I fight so hard with our cuisine and our culture is especially being in a predominantly Kamsa neighborhood. It's like you try so hard to advocate for the history and the culture, and a lot of folks don't necessarily know what Cambodian culture is all about, or even the Khmer Empire. Like they can't even wrap their heads around the history of that. Like the fact that it once was a vast empire in most of Asia, all the way to the southern part of China. It's like people don't understand that our culture is rich in history, and that's one thing when people are like, oh, how do you describe Khmer food? It's like, is it like Vietnamese food? Is it like Thai food? Yeah, it is, but we also are heavily influenced by India, like the spice trade. Most of our stuff is heavily influenced by Indian spices during the spice trade, whereas Thai cuisine and Vietnamese cuisine isn't necessarily.
What are like some of the challenges of running like a cocktail bar in a restaurant?
The biggest challenge pre-pandemic was keeping being as small as of a space that we have and having such a limited kitchen. It was generating the revenue in the food side to keep up with the revenue in the cocktail side. I mean, any full service spot that offers food and cocktails, or even beer and food, it's like you want there to be a balance. And that cocktail bar, the restrictions are so monumental in the kitchen because it's like we're running off of 2 hot plates, an induction oven, and like a little small salad, like a little small deli fridge. So it's like trying to pump all this stuff out during normal service pre-pandemic would be unfathomable with Khmer food. That's why before we did small bar bites, like, bacon stuffed dates, popcorn, grilled cheese and stuff, because it's easy, simple American food that can go well with cocktails. But what's allowed me to rethink everything is during the pandemic, in the beginning, it was a shit show trying to figure out how to cook all this stuff in the beginning and make it work in this tiny kitchen. But as we got deeper into the pandemic and closure and continuing the takeout and finding what works, in the beginning, it was like people would pick up food and they'd be waiting outside for 30, 45 minutes for their food and we'd feel horrible and shit. But excuse my language.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. And then it got to a point where now we're like we're on the dot when people are trying to pick up. Like we figured out a system, and that's only allowed us to figure out a system more when we reopen back up for dine-in, because now we're like, okay, we don't need this, we don't need that, we can streamline it this way. And it's made it a lot easier. And I'm excited for when we reopen for dine-in, because we could finally see how well we could execute this in a larger capacity, in a larger format when folks are dining in, as opposed to just takeout. There's kind of like a safety net with takeout. You don't have to worry about people that are sitting there that are like on wits end. They're about to get pissed off because they've been sitting there for 45 minutes for their food, or their drinks aren't So I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the next few months, when we reopen back up, with the patio coming up this next week and all that. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. And the bar itself looks from working outside, it looks pretty cozy. You said there's gonna be a patio area. Is there like a backyard or something, or
no? So when you came to pick up that parking space right in front, I'm building out a patio right in that in the adjacent parking spaces right in front there.
Oh wow, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, so it'll be like a street cafe also.
It's gonna be popping.
Yeah.
You said in a few months, so will it be ready by summer, or are you talking fall?
So the patio should be ready, if not this weekend, the weekend after. And then reopening for dine-in should follow a week or two after that also. Just trying to like take it one step at a time so we're not completely overwhelmed, you know what I mean?
Awesome. So is Seattle, are you guys getting ready to open up too? Like, I think when I was visiting, you guys went down to like phase 2 or something. What's the situation like now? Has it gotten better?
The projection is a full reopening by the end of June. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, as long as they're the idiots out there, anything can happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The people that don't want to get vaxxed and all that. Mm-hmm. No offense to anyone that doesn't want to get vaxxed, but you should get vaxxed.
Yeah. I got mine.
Man, I hate needles and I got vaxxed.
Yeah, man. I feel like, if a shot can keep me like, like if you can still get it, but like if it can keep me from actually dying, give me that vax, give me that shot.
Yeah, and especially we see all of our friends, parents, yays, aunties, uncles, dads, and all that passing away because of this, man. You do it for each other.
Yeah,
we're already marginalized to begin with.
That's right. And I see a lot of good press on you and Oliver's Twist and on a few interviews. Like, how does it feel to be like loved and respected by the community and get all that recognition?
In the beginning, it was definitely it's really flattering. But to me, it's more like those interviews and those compliments. Like, I think anytime it showcases everything that I'm doing with Oliver's Twist, to me, I take it as an ode to my mom, an ode to all of our parents that came from Khmer and stuff like that are trying to do this. Like, to me, that is the biggest compliment. Like, getting recognition. Me getting recognition to me is symbolic of our culture getting recognition, because whether it be me getting recognition or Ming Thierry down in Tequila or the Ung sisters at Phnom Penh Noodle House, like anyone getting recognition in the Khmer scene, I mean, it goes a long way. With King County Khmer, with Buntai and all that, what they're doing with the community center and all that down at White Center. It's like, I think that kind of press, it definitely makes a person feel good, but it makes me feel a lot better knowing that we're slowly getting recognition for our cuisine. We're creating a way to create dialogue with people that aren't Khmer to understand what's going on. And also to know, for people to know that we are accessible, like in these different neighborhoods, if you just take the time to explore it.
Yeah, shout out to them. Like Phnom Penh Noodle House, they've been around for a long time.
And they've gone through a lot.
Yeah. I've actually had the food tour with Phnom Penh Noodle House and Oliver's Twist, so that was cool to actually like visit their new spot, and it was good food. And I meant to go also visit Terry's too, but my schedule didn't work out as planned. But hopefully next time when I visit, I'm gonna definitely make you guys like part of my pit stop. Definitely want to visit and just sit down and chill and chop it up with you and your family.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Dope. So, $1 million question: What's your favorite Khmer food?
Oh man,
all time.
Definitely salamachu kruum. As much as I try not to eat a lot of red meat anymore. I'm always down with Setko Tukpahok. And I'm actually surprised that growing up, I didn't like Brahok Thi. I didn't want to try it. It's kind of weird. Like, I'll eat Tukpahok as a kid, but the idea of Brahok Thi, I just thought that it was just so like straight Bahok.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize, man, it's literally almost like Khmer bolognese, man. But you just dip it with veggies and all that. It's
really good. Like, I think I'm the same.
So
I think it became an acquired taste as I grew older. Like, I don't think I liked it as a kid either, but now I love it with the veggies and the, what's it called, the trop,
Oh, yeah.
The eggplants. Yep. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, do you think Khmer cuisine will become more popular, like all across the nation?
I think that it will. I feel like there's there's a new golden age coming for Khmer food and Khmer culture in general. I think as far as with everything that's going on, the recognition that's happening, starting off with Nyambai in San Francisco, in Oakland, and then Ethan Lim's spot out in Chicago, and then there's a couple sandwich shops out in New York. Is it Nompang?
Nompang. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of franchises now.
Yeah, and the more we're able to grow the culture and the cuisine in a way where we start getting recognized by the white demographic, the Caucasian demographic. I think that goes a long way because they accept Vietnamese cuisine and Thai cuisine so heavily, but it's like there isn't a lot of accessibility to Khmer food in most places in the U.S. unless you're in Long Beach, unless you're in Lowell, or now Seattle too, or even Minnesota. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I think that it starts with accessibility. And I think that's why it was important for me to figure out a way to make Oliver's Twist a place that serves Khmer food too, because it bridges this gap between South Seattle and the accessibility down there versus the North Side.
Dope. Do you guys remember like the Bite of Seattle? Does that still happen? Like, it's like...
I think it's been postponed since pandemic started, but I would assume that once things get back to normal, it's going to come back around.
And would you guys participate in something like that? Maybe like get the Khmer food out there, or at least beef sticks or something that get it rolling out there. I think beef sticks will be a hit. Don't matter who you are, you'll love it.
Yes, I mean, such a will definitely be a hit. If the opportunity presents itself, I'd definitely be down with that. Any way that we could continue to create dialogue. There's a brother that's operating his own little small business called Ambitious Kitchen, and he did Bite of Seattle, I feel like 2 or 3 years ago, and to see other Khmer folks, especially our generation, do it. I mean, like I said, you just want to root for each other, because I'm so used to when I was growing up in Long Beach, like seeing the older generation be the opposite. It's like they feel like they're competing with each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's what's kept our culture from growing the way Vietnamese and Thai cultures grown in the U.S. Is like, you feel like you're all, like the older generations felt like they've been competing with each other. So you knock each other down because you're trying to get ahead.
Right.
But I feel like it starts with our generation, trying to lift each other up and like refraining from making the same mistakes that our elders did that are trying to be successful, because it's like one person being successful is all of us being successful.
I agree. Yeah, shout out to everybody that's trying to make it with whatever they got,
Yeah.
Whatever product, whatever, the more the merrier, I feel,
Yeah, I agree with that.
And also, I like what you stand for. Like, you do a lot of work in the community. Like a lot of social justice stuff. And how important is it to you that we stand with humanity, like for our Black brothers and sisters and our Asian folks and everything that's going on? That's crazy stuff that's going on in the world right now, man. It's so hard to digest. I'm like, damn.
It is, and it's to me. I think what makes me try to be vocal about all of that is, it comes with, it goes back to our background, our experience, and then hearing the stories from our parents, from our grandparents. If some of us are fortunate enough to even have both grandparents survive, so the killing fields and all that. Like, I never knew any of my grandfathers, but hearing the stories from all my yays and yay oms and stuff, like it goes a long way. And I've been fortunate to have our mom growing up. She let me be the idiot that I was at times, making all my mistakes. But at the time, and the other times where I was trying to seek what I wanted to be, the person I wanted to grow up to be. She was supportive of that, like seeing all this stuff going on again, or not again, but just continue in Palestine breaks my heart, because when I was 21 to 23, 24, I converted to Islam for a few years, and like being immersed around that community, like you hear about all the stuff that goes on, and it's like seeing what's going on in Palestine continues to remind me of like what our parents went through with the Khmer Rouge and all that. And, you know, with our Black brothers and sisters, it's like that story never fucking changes. It's like no matter how many times the story's told, you never get enough listeners. You never get enough people to heed the warnings that lead up to these things that continue to happen. And it's like, I think more so like, you know, you grew up in South Seattle. I spent a lot of my earlier years in Long Beach. And it's like, you know, when you're surrounded by neighbors and friends that are Black and brown and all that, like, you know, there's this inclusion that you grow up to have, this inclusivity. And it's like some people that aren't raised around that, sometimes it takes them a lot longer to understand what you've gone through with your fellow Black and brown brothers and sisters.
That's a good answer. Okay, Karuna, thank you so much for chopping it up with me and sharing your story. Are there any last words or shout outs you want to give?
I mean, I just want to give a shout out to every person trying to, you know, represent the culture, especially the younger generation. Just keep up the hustle and keep lifting one another up. You know, let's be a little different from the older generation, and let's not tear each other down. And let's continue advocating for everyone else that's continuing to fight the fight as well.
I love it. I agree. Support each other. We all we got. We all we need. And yo, Karuna, I'm definitely gonna stop by every time I visit, and look forward to seeing you grow and seeing you do good things for the community. And I'm gonna tell all my friends about you guys. Like, yo,
all right.
You guys gotta go up north, man.
It's a trek, but it's not that far.
It's not that far, no. You know.
Yeah, and you know, if they're Khmer, tell them to holler at me. I always want to meet other Khmer folks in the community as well too. So.
Oh yeah, you met my sisters. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, your sisters are awesome.
Did they just pop out of nowhere, or they just? I think my sister used to live in North Seattle, so she probably know of your bar. I don't know how. Yeah. She said she and her partner had been there a couple of times, but she didn't know that we were serving Khmer food until you had mentioned it. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. You got lifelong customers in my family, so.
Oh, thank you, brother.
So, all right. Thank you for your time and and all that good stuff.